Hello, this is Jim with We Develop Electrical Products. This will be our sixth project for the Arduino, and we're using an Arduino Uno, but this one will apply to most of the Arduinos. It's really not a project this time. What we're doing today is we're talking about the help routine or the help menu in the Arduino IDE software. So you just open the Arduino IDE and there's a help menu like there is in most IDE softwares. And we'll go over a little bit about it. There's a couple of them in here that'll really come in handy for you, mainly the reference and the troubleshooting. But I'll give you an overview of some of these other menus under the help. The getting started menu. If you go to the getting started, it tells you a little bit about how to get started with the Arduino boards, what you need for it, the USB cable, how you connect to the board, installing the drivers. This is real important if you're using Windows 7, Vista, or XP. Then you have to do some special things in order to get the drivers installed. They just don't automatically install. How to launch the IDE, Arduino IDE software, and opening up your first example. So that's what it is with getting started, just kind of a quick overview. And then we've got the environment. Now what an environment is in the IDE is these different menus up here. The help, the tools, sketch, and then these buttons down here below those menus, what they all do. So if you go to the help and the environment, you'll come up with something about the files, and these are all hot links. You can click on it and the file will tell you the menus underneath that file button or tab, and it'll give you a little brief description about what each one of those operators do underneath that file. Same with the edit button and the sketch menu and the tools menu and everything else. So that's a good reference for getting started anyway with the Arduino environment. It gives you a good overview of each one of these menu buttons up here. And then the things that'll come in really handy for you are especially this reference. What the reference does is it gives you the programming language, the different operators within the programming language, and basically Arduino uses C and C++ for its programming language. And each one of these instructions, like a setup, we've used a setup before, they're hot links, you can go to that and it'll give you a brief description of what the setup does, and it'll give you an example of how to use that setup within your program or within your sketch. Pin mode, we've used that before, it's for digital I/O functions. Pin mode, it'll give you a brief description about that. It's basically setting a pin to an input or an output, and again it'll come down here and it'll show you how to use that in your sketch. This is going to be really handy for you when you're writing your sketches. You can come down here and find out what if statements, control structures do for you, and examples of those if statements, how you might use them, comparison operators. So when we get deeper into the IDE software, this will be a place where you'll want to come quite a bit in order to find out how to use these different instructions. And then we've got different references up here. This is the language reference that we're in right now. There's also a library reference. We'll talk about those later on in another project. Comparisons and changes. These, I just recommend you come through here and spend a little time just glancing through some of these different languages or the different instructions, and use that page a little bit. And then the troubleshooting, this might come in handy for you as well. You might be having problems, and some of these are all different hot links as well. That'll take you to an answer of what about the error cannot find the main class. If you click on that, it'll come up to a possible solution for something like that. So that's just a quick troubleshooting guide that you might be able to find an answer for a problem. They've got different things down here for the Galileo help and the Edison help. These are two boards that are based on an Intel chip that can run some of the other boards that are attached to the Arduino Uno. And it has getting started for those. So this is what the Galileo board looks like. Now I think the Galileo board isn't in existence anymore. I think it's obsolete. I think I saw something about that on the net. But it tells about the Galileo and using the Arduino IDE to program it with. The help for the Edison is something similar. It's also based on an Intel chip, and it talks about setting that board up to communicate with it, what you need for it, and how you set the board up to do the communications. I believe you can still get that board, but I don't think you can get the Galileo. This one down here is just visit Arduino. That just takes you to the Arduino homepage, and you can get a help routine there too, and the software resources. So this just takes you strictly to the homepage. That's not as helpful. I think the biggest help you're going to get is with this reference guide down here for the programming language as you're going through and programming it, and possibly some of the troubleshooting as well. You might get some help too on the getting started if you do have one of the older Windows softwares and you have to load and install a driver for Windows 7, Vista, or XP. You might get some use out of that. So that was kind of a quick overview of the help routine, and I really encourage you to spend a little time in that reference and looking at the programming operators and see if you can refresh yourself with that. So if you like this video, I encourage you to hit the like button and subscribe to my video, and I hope you have a good time and have fun with the Arduino.